Hey everybody, welcome to Ask Dr. Testosterone, starring Dr. George Tsoulianos, brought to you by his books, Bodybuilding, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, with an excellent overview of all PEDs used in our sport, cycles, side effects, everything you need to know. And then the follow-up to that, training, nutrition, supplementation in bodybuilding. You can get both of those on Amazon.com. And while you're there, go ahead and pick up this. Why not? Real Bodybuilding, Ron Harris, yes. And now, all the way from Athens, Greece, where they didn't change the clocks the way we did over the weekend. They're waiting 2 more weeks. Please welcome Dr. George Tsoulianos. What's up, doctor?
Good, Ron. Now we have the new Zoom connection. It's crystal clear, huh?
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Skype, I don't like change. I don't like technology. So people were telling me for 2 years, why don't you get on Zoom? Why don't you get on Zoom? I'm like, But yeah, Skype was a pain in the ass. Now I see that.
Yeah, the frame looks better also.
Yeah, it does. So here we go, doctor. You've been doing some interviews, so we've got some questions.
Yeah, after quite some time. I mean, we do pretty well in interviews, and we had last time Vic. Yes, Victor, it was actually interview number 10.
Wow.
10 people have hosted, and perhaps we hope that Steve Kukla appears in our next interview. Okay. So out of 105 episodes, I've answered the 95 in Q&A. So it's about 950 questions roughly.
It's never enough. They want 950,000 questions answered. But a lot of them are kind of similar, these questions, you'll see.
And I have to tell you that from September, my column will be like Rick Collins or Ronnie Coleman, Ask the Doc.
Q&A, yeah.
Q&A is written, yes.
Perfect. Okay. All right, let's go with question number 1. I have a question about doing a low dose DECA only for joint support. I've been working as a butcher for 10 years. I've been training for over 5 years. How much DECA would a person like this need to see some benefits for joint pain?
I think 50 milligrams are enough. I tried it recently. I mean, I was using 5 milligrams a day, which is 35 per week, but I guess it was not enough. So at the moment, for the past 2 weeks, from March 1st, I tried 25 milligrams twice a week, so 50 per week. Yeah. And I have to tell you, it smooths the aches in my joints. And I have a better jack feeling, when I work out. And I guess it's non-toxic, of course, to the liver or to the lipids, as long as you eat clean and you do your cardio. Yeah. So it's pretty acceptable dose, as you age.
Which joints of yours give you the most trouble right now?
I have partially rupture in both supraspinatus, in both shoulders.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a nasty now tendonitis in my left triceps insertion.
Geez.
And also my right wrist aches when I hold the bar like this, So I'm pretty fragile, and rusty, but I'm using also T8s and DECA and testosterone. And I guess it's better than nothing.
Oh, absolutely. All right. Question number 2. I remember an older episode that Dr. C said, Dr. T, not Dr. C, said he used oral tablets of testosterone. I want to ask what he thinks about a 250-pound guy. What should he use as a dosage of oral test to have TRT due to very little bioavailability of the product? And there's a second question about clenbuterol, but would you recommend a 250-pound guy use oral testosterone for TRT?
Well, listen, andriol, which is the rest of the ingredients, testosterone decaonate, it's a 40 milligram capsule that is absorbed only by a fatty meal through the lymphatic circulation, but only the 4 milligrams, which is the 10%, are absorbed. And another thing, even though it's testosterone decaonate has a very slow half-life of 12 weeks when it's injectable, on the other hand, when it's used in peros, which is oral, it has to be taken with every meal. So 5 meals a day, let's say you take 2 capsules, 10 capsules a day, 400 milligrams, that are only the 40 are absorbed, okay? Wow. It might sound like a waste of money, but it's very convenient for people who hate injections and they don't have the creams, But it's going to cost you a fortune, you're going to need 1 pack per week.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, it's not hard. It's not easy to get
2 packs per week, actually, because it's 30 enclosed in a box. So you need 10 a day. So you need 70 pills a week,
Wow. And you say it's available in Greece, right?
Yes, it is. And actually, I have to tell you that when I ran out of, it was Sunday. I had to train. I was pre-contest. I ran out of stock of testosterone. I mean, the pharmacy were closed,
Yeah.
and I had no access, of course, to anybody dealer. So I went to no, I had a stock, I think, of Andro, and I took all the 30 capsules.
Wow.
So it was 1,200 milligrams that were absorbed, 120 milligrams. So we're just taking an injection of propionate, perhaps, you know.
Yeah.
And okay, I could say it worked.
Yeah, but God, it's very hard to get here in the US. It's very expensive. So sir, I'm talking to you. Get over the whole fear of needles, because this is going to be such a pain in the ass if you decide to go this route.
There are some people that call me, Doc, I want to get laid tonight. What can I do? So if I tell them, take 4 Proviron,
Yeah.
and take also 10 Restandol with me throughout the day in order to prepare for the following 12 hours, you know?
Well, first of all, they need to find a woman. That's the first thing.
Obviously, they have set a date, you know, but the point is, apart from a Viagra, Cialis, or Levitra, they need to have the urge to get laid, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you need all that help to want to have sex and everything, I don't get it.
They want to impress, Ron. They want to impress.
Okay, that's fair, but I get it. But I mean,
they believe the girl will never leave them.
They'll leave you. Trust me. They don't. There's always another guy around the corner.
No money, no honey.
Yeah, that's a whole other show. Second question from this gentleman: will clenbuterol, when you stop your cycle of steroids, help you keep most of the weight? You will lose fat rather than be muscles? Oh God, I don't even understand this question.
Well, they say that clenbuterol helps you to retain strength post-workout. Of course, it gives you some intensity to lift heavier, increase your VO2 max. Some other claim that it's a cortisol suppressor. I'm not sure about this, but clenbuterol can help to boost your BMR, okay? And in this way, you may stay leaner rather than gain some fat while hypogonadtic, you know?
Yeah, this gentleman's confused because I think a lot of people call steroid cycles TRT now. They don't understand what TRT is. I think that's what's going on here, because he's asking you about using oral tablets of test for TRT, and then he's talking about when you stop your cycle, would clenbuterol help? But if you're on TRT, you don't stop, guys. It's forever.
You know what? They cycle, and when they get off cycle, they abuse testosterone and they call it as TRT, which is not.
Yeah, cruising.
Okay.
It's true. Yeah, TRT. It's become the most bastardized term in this world that we live in. Okay, next question. I'm 50. I've been taking 21 IUs of GH. Wow, for 2 years. For wait a minute. He said it's 2 IUs. I was going to say 21. 2 IUs of GH for 2 years for anti-aging and aches and pains, not doctor prescribed. I take 200 milligrams TRT a week as well. Can this dose increase my prostate size or raise my PSA levels?
Well, you have to know on yourself, on your own, you know, you check it out. But you have to understand that PSA does not exclusively is the result of DHT, but it could be also elevation by prostatitis, riding the bike, having an ejaculation, or even uncontrolled estrogens may contribute to the proliferation of the cells in the prostatic gland. So you have to control your estrogens. You have to control the reduction of testosterone into DHT, you know, because it's also the ratio of DHT to estrogens. And of course, an elevated PSA could imply that if you had sex the past 12 hours could be elevated. If you do how you say spinning at the gym, you know, or even prostatitis by taking antibiotics, it will reverse, you know. So it may be pseudo elevated. You need to check it out again, and also not only the PSA but the free PSA too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's why I don't like riding the bike. We have a stationary bike at home here, and I get very nervous sitting on that thing for a while. I think it's screwing me up, so I don't use it very often. Here's one. They want to hear both of our views, but of course I want you to talk first. People always say you can lose muscle when taking T3, but couldn't you just continue to diet and reach your desired body fat percentage, then do a short-term calorie surplus in my case, muscle memory works super fast. Yeah. Have you ever experienced muscle
Yes,
loss?
actually, it's among the side effects,
Hmm.
catabolism. So
Wow.
you take few anabolics in order to reverse this.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't take out of the blue T3 without any steroids.
Yeah.
Correct.
I can
Otherwise, it
say
sounds like hyperthyroidism without anything else.
true. Because years ago, I took T3 a couple times in the early to mid 2000s for contests, and I was on plenty of steroids, and I still think it contributed to me losing some muscle mass.
Really?
I believe that. I mean, maybe I was just over dieting in
Did you
general.
have nervousness, restlessness?
Yeah, it was a product called Heat Miser, and it was T3, clenbuterol,
Oh
and
shit!
and yohimbine all in one product. Yeah, it was rough.
Speedball, eh?
It's called Heat Miser. It worked very well. It took the fat off, but I think it did eat up some muscle tissue too. Anyway, here's the next one. About 5 years ago, I gave my son a kidney. He's on TRT now, 200 milligrams a week, and want to know. Oh wait, I guess he's on TRT now. The donor, the father, 200 milligrams a week. Want to know. I want to bump it up to a cycle to get a little more muscle. I have experience in my 20s. I was a bodybuilder, Long Island, New York, trained Mr. Americas, have experience. Okay, so I guess he was trained with the Mr. America on Long Island. That would have been Steve Mihalik. So he has experience with PEDs. Just want to know what compounds he could use with one kidney.
I would say stick to TRT because it's really risky using steroids that will increase your blood pressure and your kidney may become toasted, because it's really sensitive to blood pressure, and DECA elevates blood pressure, Clen elevates blood pressure, perhaps not anabarbital or primobolan, but the point is the first two are 17 alkylated that may become toxic to the metabolism, I mean, they affect the liver and then they're excreted by kidneys. I would say don't ask for trouble because you're not a young man, okay? You have only one kidney, so just stay on your testosterone and forget about those dreams,
Yeah, sorry, sir, but
It's better than nothing, of course, testosterone. You may perhaps elevate the dose by controlling the blood pressure as well.
I mean, a lot of people get upset. I'm sure people come to you with health. They have underlying issues that it's a very bad idea for them to use to blast cycles of steroids.
When they have bad genetics for cardiovascular disease or diabetes, I'm sorry, I'm telling you are born with this thing, okay? Yeah. Some other things are born with something else. But it sounds unfair to be born with one kidney, but it sounds idiotic ending with one kidney as a result of your poor choices.
Right.
In this case, this guy did this guy shared his kidney to his son, which is something,
very
yes.
commendable. Yeah.
Yeah. The point is, now he's under disadvantage. He should be aware of his condition,
Right. Okay. Here's a really good question regarding genetic potential and loss of gains. I know I'm not at my genetic potential, but I'm interested in using PIDs to reach that potential faster. My question is, can I keep most of the gains from use of gear if my gains are still at or just below my natural genetic potential, assuming strict diet, sleep, and workouts?
Ron, I think this guy is in the wrong direction, his perspective. So first of all, you have to take it to the limit with food and supplementation, and a few years, of course.
Yeah.
And afterwards, try to use steroids. I was training 10 years and using supplements 3 years before I touched steroids. And I touched steroids in order to compete, not to become a beach boy, But I think I reached my level that I couldn't get leaner or more muscular anymore with supplements and
Right. Yeah. But I mean, as far as losing gains, I think you're going to lose some of your gains from steroids when you go off steroids, regardless of whether you're at
absolutely. I think the only 20% you were able to hold, only 20%.
Yeah. So I would say if you're close to your potential, this would be my thing is you can
Ron, if you gain 10 pounds, doesn't mean 10 pounds are solid mass. Come on.
Oh no, it's probably three or 4 pounds of muscle and there's a lot of water.
What remains in the end matters,
Right. But I do put it this way: you'll gain muscle that you never were going to gain anyway. Once you hit your natural potential, that's it. You were done, and now you use steroids, and you can put on this much more, And if you go off steroids, you'll lose some of that, but you still have more muscle than you.
It's up also to how you rest, how you train, how you sleep, you know,
Yeah. But
take your supplements.
right. But it needs to be said, nobody keeps all of their gains from steroids
No.
when they go off steroids, because
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? It's catabolic environment. That's why you use PCT.
right.
And then you use tons of creatine and amino acids, you know,
and that's just to try to hold on to as much of it as you can. You can't keep it all. If people could be as big off steroids as they were on steroids, there'd be no reason for steroids to exist. Well,
Yeah.
That's not true. They have legitimate medical uses. That's what they're supposed to be used for. Here we go. Whenever I take clenbuterol, I get nosebleeds. Is this normal?
Absolutely. The blood pressure increases.
Whew.
And if you, what's the expression when you want to clean your nose like this?
Snot rockets.
Yeah. So when you do this, actually, you increase your blood pressure. It's highly likely to rupture. Okay. And another thing, if you're on clenbuterol on stairs, also, the nose bleeding does not stop. So, which is medically, this is called the bleeding time increases. You know, so clotting time decreases. So you're gonna have issues with the formation of the clot. You know, of the fibrin.
Did you ever get nosebleeds when you were training, doctor?
Not training, but in the hospital, then I was taking sometimes steroids, and the clenbuterol had problems, and they were really worried what I was doing. I was trying cocaine.
Wow. Yeah, it happened to me during squats one time. It just started gushing.
Crazy.
It looked hardcore. I wish I had a picture.
I've seen the eyes clear of some people during heavy squats area become,
I've seen them bleed out of their eyes. Some of these power lifters.
Man, you know, they may have a stroke like this.
That's scary. I don't want to bleed out of my eyes. 37-year-old male, and I have Hashimoto's hypothyroidism. Which steroids do not affect the thyroid? I also heard Anavar can lower thyroid binding globulin TBG, thus increasing free T3. Is that correct?
Yes, this is true about Anavar. It can increase your fat loss because it elevates free T3, which is actually the free form of the active form of the thyroid hormone. Because it affects the thyroid binding globulin. I'm not sure what of the rest of steroids, but since this guy is on Hashimoto, it means he already receives thyroxine. So his thyroid gland is regulated by the exogenous use of thyroid hormones, thyroxine T4 for life. The point is, he asked in the end, what about?
Okay, so he wants to know which steroids. He wants to use steroids, I think, and he wants to know which ones are not going to affect his thyroid.
In order to, but he, in the end of the
the very end, he wanted to know. He wanted to use Anavar for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And he wanted to know what dose can he use without shutting down. I assume he means
now shutting down HPDA or affecting the thyroid. If it's HPDA, you have to know that even 20 milligrams of Anavar are able to suppress HPDA 20% after 1 month. So anything can happen in women. For instance, 20 milligrams, they stop the menstrual cycle. So take Anavar and then get on Clomid, you know. But according to the thyroid, he's taking already this guy T4, and it's true that the Anavar affects the fat burning process also by affecting TGH. Okay, but I'm not sure what steroids also. But this about Anavar, we had one question 2 years ago, and I checked it out and was correct. Yes.
Okay. So you're not really sure which steroids would have any impact on the thyroid gland?
As far as I remember, the majority of them, they do have an effect.
Okay. Yeah, all these people with health problems want to use steroids anyway. Steroids are great. That's why. Here we go. I had my pituitary tumor removed. Now my pituitary gland does not produce any hormones. I'm on all synthetic except for CHIGHRO, whatever that is.
GHRH, I guess. Growth hormone releasing hormone peptides. Yes.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay, because he didn't even have an O at the end. It was a P. It was a typo. My endocrinologist is hesitant to put me on girl time. Guys, you got to check these before you post them, please, because if we can't understand them. My endocrinologist hesitant to put me on girl time. I don't know what he means. Do you think I need growth?
Growth hormone.
I guess. Do you think I need growth? Will it help me? I'm constantly tired and no sexual desire. My IGF-1 is around 225, which is normal, but my GH is 0.
Yeah, GH is 0 since he removed his hypophysis. But why no sex drive since he's supposed to take testosterone?
So maybe he's not on testosterone. Maybe that's what he needs to get on.
But he says he takes everything synthetically.
Well, he didn't say anything about test. I guess.
No, it's test.
If you're not on test, yeah, get on some TRT. Go to your doctor and get some TRT. But if his GH is 0, does he need GH?
Yeah, he doesn't produce anymore, and he needs. Now, why IGF is high? I guess from the use of testosterone. There's no other explanation.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess he's using testosterone, but if there's no sex drive, he can use some DHT as well or elevate the testosterone dose.
Yeah.
But you cannot live without testosterone rather than living without GH. Testosterone is more important than GH.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Come on.
Life with no testosterone is miserable as a man. Okay. Questions for both of you. Are you now only on TRT? Do you never do small bulking or cutting cycles? Would you like someday to compete again? Let's take these one at a time. Are you now only on TRT?
No, I never was. I'm on HRT.
Right.
I stack different hormones. But at the moment, the last 2 weeks, I'm kind of blasting my HRT, which is 250 testosterone and 50 of DECA per week. Okay. I'm going to try this only for March. And I had a positive effect in my joints, of course, in my strength. I'm going to check out my labs next week. Okay. And I have no intention to compete anymore for various reasons.
Okay. Do you ever do bulking or cutting cycles anymore?
Never. I've never done any serious cycle for the past more than 5 years. No.
Okay.
I never touched Winstrol since 2014.
Let's say you want to compete at the Arnold Amateur and have a chance to become pro. Which would be your favorite bulking and cutting cycle?
Well, the ones that I've written in my books are extremely hardcore, stacking different compounds. So I have no intention to do this. I mean, health is my priority. I'm going to spend money that I don't find any particular reason just for vanity. Then it's not able for me to starve and to be low in carbs and work. And most of all, my haters will say, what the fuck are you doing? Are you again what you preach, about medical prevention, longevity? Are you again a steroid junkie, Enough is enough, Ron.
Okay, so I'll go through. I'm not on just TRT right now. I'm on 400 milligrams of test a week, 200 to 250 milligrams of DECA a week. And I do 25 milligrams of Proviron a day. I was on 50, but I was worried it was starting to make my hair thin even more back here. So I cut it down to 25. I don't bulk anymore. I try to stay lean all the time, not contest lean, but I keep my weight around 220. I will diet a little harder. It's not the difference of the drugs I take. I'll diet, I'll do more cardio, and I'll get down more like to 210 to 212 for the summertime, just because I like to, every summer I like to look good. I go to a lot of contests and I like to look the part. Would I compete again? I wouldn't compete only because this job with MD, doing all the videos and everything, and then I write a lot. I write almost all the articles in the magazine, the feature articles, most of them. I do a lot of the columns. If I competed, it would just be a nightmare. I would either, my job would suffer or
It's very demanding.
I'd be worried about, like, we're talking now and I'm like, oh no, I'm supposed to eat in 10 minutes. No, I'd be freaking out. And I'm 51 years old. Would I like would I like to be a pro? Sure. I'd love to be a pro. There's a million pros now. There's people that I've beaten so many guys that are pros now.
Really?
Oh yeah. Tons of them. At least
how the hell they became pros?
Because they kept going and I stopped. Because they kept going and they all got their cards as masters, most of them. And I quit in
What's the
2013.
point of getting a card? I mean, think about John Meadows. He got in his mid 40s.
Yeah, yeah,
And what about his 50s? He had a heart attack, you know?
yeah. I mean, he never needed a pro card. He's more famous, more well-known, more
Yeah, of course, as
respected.
an influence, yeah, as a coach, yeah. His channel is #1
Yeah.
among all, you know.
But a lot of people, we just want that card. We do want to say IFBB Pro, especially for me. Everybody I know, everybody that I
I
competed
understand
with,
for professional reasons, yes.
just in my gym has like 10 pros, just one gym. You know, most of them have never competed as pros, and I bet most of them never will.
Ron, if you were a pro, the only benefit would be to charge your diets and your personal training. That's all.
I would be a
It's
terrible.
prestige.
I'm well aware. I know what I look like, Doc. I would be a terrible, terrible pro. I know this, so I have no illusions. I would just like to have that, but yeah, I don't need it. Yeah, so I don't bulk and I don't cut. But as far as the cycles, it doesn't matter because whatever the doctor outlined in his book, it's very similar to what most people do. Most people do very, very similar cycles. There's no secrets, guys. Let's go to another question. Went on 250 milligrams test a week and adding 100 milligrams Deca. How long before the benefits of the Deca can be felt?
4 weeks, I guess, 1 month.
Yeah. And it stays in your system. So you could take a shot today and
1 week.
You'll start feeling it, but it'll keep working for a long time. It's undecanate, nandrolone undecanate, unless it's that NPP, the short acting one. He wants you to talk about local finasteride. I've been on finasteride for 17 years with TRT at 100 milligrams per week, and I aromatize a lot. I have to take exemestane.
I guess exemestane is really too much. I guess he can take an anastrozole or Imidex, you know, which is milder. Some people believe that exemestane is more friendly to the HDL, but personally, I didn't experience something like that because I've tried it. But as we've talked with Ron McLean, we discussed the local apply of finasteride does not affect systemically the low libido and the moody issues out of taking Peros to finasteride, you know. The point is how absorbable is localized. So first of all, we do the washing with ketoconazole shampoo, and after we apply the minoxidil foam, and then I will apply the finasteride solution, and I guess you may have a 20% effectiveness, better than nothing. Sure. If you want to keep your erections again, you know.
As he says, he wants to stop FINA, but here in France, we don't have access to finasteride gel.
There's no gel of finasteride. But if you go to the pharmacist and you give him the recipe, and he makes that solution for you, how much percent you want it, you know?
Yeah, finasteride's always a pill, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Next one. Possible endothelium issues when using aromatase inhibitors such as Clomid. Is that
Clomid is not an aromatase inhibitor, you know.
It's not.
#1.
Okay.
Endothelial dysfunction is a problem perhaps out of aromatase inhibitors, but in this study, it was given on a daily basis to women with breast cancer, 1 milligram of Arimidex a day, which is a crazy dose that bodybuilders abuse pre-contest, you know.
Right.
So in a TRT, you don't use more than 1 milligram per week.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand the question here. So pine tree bark extract protects endothelial cells like pycnogenol.
Pycnogenol, yes, true.
Yet has issues with raising white blood cell count. TRT
I don't know, but pycnogenol is good for the blood vessels, along with other, with resveratrol, let's say. Okay.
Yeah.
And as you know, the endothelial dysfunction is the lining of the arteries, the inner lining, that becomes kind of chunky, and then the platelets go over there and become aggregated, you know, and it forms a clot.
They get stuck, yeah. So do you have those issues at a TRT dose typically, or is that only when people are using larger amounts?
No, endothelial dysfunction is the result of abusing aromatase inhibitors or smoking, of course. Gotcha. That leads to platelet aggregation. Why? Because nicotine messes up with the endothelium, and instead of smooth, it becomes chunky, you know.
Well, it's funny. I was just talking to a woman at my gym who had a heart attack last September. She's 50 years old. She just became a bodybuilder a couple of years ago, and
No estrogens, 50 years old.
yeah, she's menopausal and all that. And the doctor,
No
she,
protection.
she thought that she went to the doctor and she was afraid she had taken some Anavar and some clenbuterol.
And most of them smoke off of the sick of dieting,
That's what well, she's a smoker. She quit now, but that the doctor said it was genetics and it was your smoking. It wasn't the Anavar that gave you a heart attack.
Not only menopause as well. No estrogens, no protection.
Dude, menopause is horrible. I'm watching it.
Is it how women can become like men genetically, after they finish with the menstrual cycle,
Well, they don't need to have baby. They're not going to have babies anymore. Their bodies go haywire. Last question. Wow, we got a lot of middle-aged people this week. Hey guys, I'm 50. I've been taking is this the same thing? Same thing about the prostate. You already answered it.
Yeah, I told you it's the same. Yeah.
Dude, I'm horrible.
We got a double.
Oh, it was a rough weekend. All right, Doc, you did it. You answered a bunch more questions. We're getting close to probably 1,000 questions answered. My goodness.
Now, if I charge $10 for it, we have 10K, yeah?
Do you guys use that phrase? If I had $1 for every whatever, do you guys say that?
Yeah.
But it's true. And if I had $1 for every person that asked me this or that, I'd be a millionaire. Anyway, thank you so much, Doctor. Great job with the questions as always. And guys, please, if you have questions, leave them under here in the comments. Try not to make them too long and try to make sure we can understand the question so that we can do our best job, or the doctor can do his best job of answering it for you. And that'll help other people who might have similar concerns. Because a lot of these questions, a lot of you guys out there, we have the same issues with health and steroids and all that. They're just, they vary. But that's it. Guys, get the books on Amazon.com. Look up author George Entouliados, Ron Harris. And that's it. We appreciate your viewership. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications, because we want to get the word out. This is something you don't see every day. As a medical doctor who's been a champion bodybuilder and has that perspective and can answer these questions that you need answered. So thank you, Doctor. Appreciate you doing this every week. And guys, we will see you next time on Ask Dr. Testosterone. Have a good week.